Which prospects have been chosen as breakout candidates? Plus, the Cardinals sign a 16-year-old pitcher from the Dominican. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio. Follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube if you want the visual aspects of this show. If you do come over to YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. That way you're interacting with us. Hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. Now, each year, the beat writers for each team will put together, and it's not just the beat writers, but, anybody who's covering a team will normally put together a list of breakout candidates, right, for the upcoming season. Some of the names are no-brainers, and then there's sometimes some guys that go out on a limb or two and make some bold predictions. John Denton, who we love, writes for MLB.com, released his list of breakout prospect candidates for this spring. So this is for spring trading, okay? And added a couple of other breakout players just for 2024 in general. But today we're going to focus on the prospects. I'm going to link the article in the description so that you can view that if you want to read it up for yourself. Are these guys bold predictions, the prospects that Denton has listed here? I'm not going to say that, but I'll let you be the judge. I thought it would be fun to go through a couple of these. And then at the end of each segment, I'll kind of give you, because he does pitchers, he does position players, and I'll give you a couple of names that he didn't list that I think are some of the guys that you should probably keep an eye on for this upcoming spring and maybe even into the regular season. We'll see. So let's start with his prospects who he thinks are going to break out this spring. Number one, this one should not be much of a surprise, to be honest with you. Coming in at number one for him is going to be Victor Scott II. Now, Victor Scott, obviously a well-known prospect in the Cardinal system right now. Here's what he had to say. This is John Denton speaking on his article at MLB.com. No player's stock has risen higher or faster than that of Scott, who tied for the minor league baseball lead in stolen bases with 94 last season, and then backed it up with more stellar play in the Arizona Fall League. Center fielder Tommy Edman is coming off arthroscopic right wrist surgery, which could free up a few extra reps for the speedy son of two former college track athletes. If Scott shows an ability to get on base, white bases, and play Gold Glove defense, he just might sprint his way onto a roster that's in need of speed and athleticism. Okay, now we've had Victor on the show before, and this was last season. He came on, one of the prospects we were able to get on here at Locked On Cardinals, and I came away extremely impressed with him. Just, obviously not just as a player, because we know he's good on the field, but as the guy who I did the interview with, like it was really good. Like he was a well-spoken, well-thought answers, and I think he had a good time with us on the podcast. So the dude was just cool, down-to-earth guy, and the numbers, they speak for themselves, what he does on the field as far as being a baseball player. I don't care what level of baseball you're playing, 94 stolen bases, it's pretty darn impressive. With the changes in the rules to promote more base stealing in the Major League game, his type of game could be a game changer for the Cardinals. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense when he's on base. Like the last guy I remember really doing a lot of damage and putting a lot of pressure on a defense and on a pitcher and a catcher that, he could steal base at any moment in time wasn't a former Cardinal that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Billy Hamilton, who was with the Cincinnati Reds. Remember, he would get on base. Didn't have a great average, didn't have a great on-base percentage, but if he got on base, man, he caused havoc, just absolute havoc on the base paths. And that is something that Victor Scott II could be for the Cardinals at some point in his future. Now, defensively, many believe that he is already major league ready. Like right now, he just won a Rawlings minor league Gold Glove Award this past season, finished the year with a 992 fielding percentage over 132 total games at Peoria and at Springfield. He committed just 3 errors on the season and at one point went 81 consecutive contests without committing an error. He also had 5 outfield assists to go along with that between both levels. So the dude is really good. Only 9 prospects, only 9 throughout the minor leagues. Ends up getting awarded a Rawlings Gold Glove at the minor league level, and Scott was one of them. And he was one of only 3 Midwest League players to receive one. So defensively, he's already in exclusive territory for sure. And remember, this is a breakout candidate for the spring. We're not saying the regular season. That's not what Denton is saying in this article. My reservation about Victor Scott coming up here in 2024 is that he hasn't played at the AAA level yet. That's really my only reservation. We saw Jordan Walker make that jump, goes past AAA straight into the major leagues, but then he had to get sent back down before being brought back up for good. I don't want to see that happen. I would prefer the way Mason Wynn was brought through the organization, had a great spring last year. Remember that? And everybody was like, wow, man, is he going to make the team? And they were like, no. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Send him back to AAA for pretty much the entire season. Did very, very well there. And when the Cardinal season was in the toilet, they were like, all right, let's get him a taste of the major leagues while he can do it without really having any pressure on him whatsoever. So they brought him up. Now, do I think we're going to see Victor Scott II in St. Louis this year at some point? I kind of do. I hopefully it isn't because he's forced to make a major impact right away. Because if Victor Scott is called up because he has to be called up, that means that there was some sort of failure or injuries among the top 5 that you already got on this roster. And I'm talking about Nootbaar, Edman, Walker, Carlson, or Burleson. Okay. Hopefully, you don't have any catastrophic injuries or anything that forces the Cardinals to bring up Victor Scott II and force him to start playing at the major league level every day. You would hope that things will go well and that they can take their time with him. But let's be honest, if he's killing it at AAA and somebody's struggling at the major league level, that's a different story. Then bring him on up. Jordan Walker said this about Scott at the winter warm-up this past weekend, that he was an unbelievable athlete. He's kind of like the Mookie Betts of the St. Louis Cardinals, unbelievable basketball player, unbelievable bowler. He's not saying that he's the next Mookie Betts as far as being a baseball player, but that he's just really good at pretty much anything he does, kind of like Mookie Betts is. So I'm excited to see him at some point. Speed, defense is a big part of what my favorite type of baseball is. I'm not the guy that likes watching a lot of strikeouts and then a 3-run dinger or something. I like speed and defense. I like the ball in play. I like that. I like the Whitey ball era type of style of baseball. That's what I enjoy. I hope he isn't needed in 24, but if he gets up there, more power to him, because I think he's an exciting prospect in the system. Next, Denton has listed the first of 3 pitchers on the list, which is going to be Tekoah Roby. So we'll discuss him and those other pitchers next here on Locked On Cardinals. Score early this NFL season. Well, not really early anymore now, is it? Now we're talking about playoffs. With FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150, you guys, if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, obviously it's always a great time to join them. Playoff time is an even better time. But even if the NFL is not your thing, there's all the sports going on right now. NHL, NBA, college hoops, college football, unfortunately, is all said and done. But there's plenty of stuff to choose from. The app, very easy to use, and you can go with spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Divisional games this weekend in the NFL. Saturday begins with Houston at Baltimore. Ravens by 9.5 right now. My Packers are at the 49ers. They shocked the world against Dallas, and now they got to go into San Francisco. in the late game and take on the Niners. 9.5-point favorites for San Francisco right now. Sunday starts with the Bucs at the Lions, Detroit by 6.5, and then Chiefs at Buffalo, the Bills by 2.5 right now on FanDuel. Do you agree? Do you disagree with those spreads? Put your money where your mind is. If you don't agree, pick the other way. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. After the holidays, we could all use a little extra cash in our pockets as well. I just went on a bit of a mini vacation and got to spend some time with family and friends. And it was nice to have that extra cash. And especially, you can use extra cash right now. You got taxes are going to be coming up. You've done all the gift giving that you're going to give. I've got a doozy of one because I get Christmas and then the wife's birthday is at the end of January. And then I got Valentine's Day to worry about. So extra cash is obviously something I like to get my hands on. So make sure you're getting cash back on all of your everyday purchases with Ibata. It's a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure that you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibata user earns $145 per year, which could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. It could buy you a flight that you've been eyeing. It could get you tickets to the game you're dying to go to. Me and my mom just went to a couple of Blues games, and that money would have been nice. Would have been nice to have extra to go spend on whatever it is, whether it's souvenirs or the tickets or just the meals in general. You know how food can be at the venues where the sports are going on. So join the over 50 million savers and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibata by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. So what you do is you go to the App Store or Google Play Store, you download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back, and use the code Locked On MLB. That's Ibata, Ibotta, in the Google Play or App Store and use the code Locked On MLB. That's LOCKEDON MLB, and get you some of that extra cash that you're craving with Ibata. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today. It's here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, which cover every league. So what you do is you go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, and then you subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Again, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. Your feedback always welcome and encouraged. I love it when you guys reach out to me and we can have civilized discussions about St. Louis Cardinals baseball, no matter how upsetting some of the things they do may be. Now, today, nothing upsetting about today's show. We continue with John Denton's list of prospects prime for a breakout spring. So let's get to the pitchers that he's got listed here. He's got 3 of them in the 5 prospects that he put into this article. And this next one, he starts with right-handed starter Tekoah Roby, who they got from the Rangers in that Jordan Montgomery deal. Roby and Thomas Saggese, who we will get to here in a minute, have already shown tremendous promise, while John King proved himself to be a reliable lefty out of the Cards bullpen down the stretch. The 22-year-old Roby made 4 starts with AA Springfield last fall and fanned 19 batters in 12 innings. That's the kind of swing and miss stuff that the Cardinals are looking for. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Tekoah Roby, new to the organization. We're hoping for good things, obviously. And the fact that they got him in that Jordan Montgomery trade, and he's one of their top 10 prospects right now at MLB Pipeline, that's good. So I'm anxious to see his future as well. He's not somebody that I would assume would be competing for any kind of roster spot here in 2024, but it's going to be nice to see some of these guys who came over at the trade deadline last year. We'll get a chance to see them this spring training, so that'll be fun. Next on his list here for John Denton, that would be Tink Hence, our man, Tink Hence, now 21 years old, 185 pounds. He hails from the same 2020 draft class that produced Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, and Cardinals outfielder DH Alec Burleson. Like Roby, He likely is not ready for the big leagues just yet, but his ability to blow hitters away with raw power and his knee-buckling curveball makes him a wild card to watch. Could Hence's ability to get punch-outs come in handy to the Cardinals out of the bullpen late in the season? That is obviously a great question. Because I've said this before, when we're talking about getting young pitchers up to the major league level, the easiest place is not to stick them into the starting rotation. Like we saw what happened with Drew Rom, right? In 2023, he wasn't ready. It was out of necessity, and sometimes he looked like he didn't belong there. Now, if you go and get these guys into the bullpen, and that's how they start their major league careers, it's kind of an easier transition. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but it's an easier transition than going straight into the starting rotation. So maybe Tink Hence's future is in the bullpen. It could be. We'll have to wait and see. But another guy that we're excited to watch this spring training down in Jupiter. All right, next on his list, former first-round pick, left-hander Cooper Hjerpe. Now, the Cardinals, this is Denton in his write-up here, the Cardinals will likely still be looking for bullpen help throughout spring training, and that very well could be Hjerpe's path to the big leagues. The first-round pick from 2022's first pro season was interrupted by arthroscopic surgery in his left elbow, but he did get back in time for the Arizona Fall League, and he salvaged the year in a strong way. Hjerpe's funky delivery could make him a unique lefty specialist. He struck out 15 batters in 8 1/3 innings in the Fall League. Hjerpe is a guy that we have talked about on this show before. Obviously, first-round pick, left-hander. There's a lot of promise there. All three of these guys, all three of them that we just listed, Tekoah Roby, Tink Hence, and Cooper Hjerpe, guys you might already be familiar with. A couple of names that personally I'm interested in that wasn't on Denton's list here. Springfield closer Andre Granillo is one of them, who pitched in the Arizona Fall League and at AAA Memphis last year and was very, very good. I am very much excited about his future. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's kind of a hidden gem, if you will, because pretty much everywhere he goes, he delivers, and he does it in high leverage situations. Like, he doesn't just come in and is just kind of like this middle relief guy. He's been a closer. So I'm very much excited about that. Max Rajic, who was voted the Cardinals' top minor league pitcher last year. Another guy that I'm interested in watching in spring training. Not saying these guys are going to immediately be on the roster, but they have a chance, especially Granillo. Or is it Granello? Why do I think it's Granillo. Anyway, he's a guy that, I don't know, as they try to figure out how they're going to piece this bullpen together, you got a lot of guys that you're not that familiar with that you got in trades, like in the Tyler O'Neill trade, and some guys you picked up in the Rule 5 drafts and stuff. These are guys that, they're going to try to mix and match, figure out if that's going to be a part of their bullpen or not. And he's a guy that could work his way in there if he has an outstanding spring. So he's a guy I'm looking forward to. Denton listed one more position player to watch. Plus, the Cardinals signed a 16-year-old pitcher from the Dominican Republic. So you're going to hear about him coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities that go on in life, but can we just talk a minute real quick about preparing for tough situations? Because we will find ourselves in those situations from time to time, whether you're on extended travel, weather events. Like, we've had some crazy weather going on in the United States. Like, pretty much anywhere you went, you got hit by a cold front. There was a blizzard. There was something crazy happening everywhere. We had minus degrees, like negative degrees in St. Louis for a couple of days recently. And, stuff like this, you don't want to get caught not prepared, right? And thanks to our partners at Jase Medical, life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply. Even ED generics can be made available to you. Jase Medical has the Jase case. And the Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics that treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, whole list of stuff that can affect our human bodies, and it can happen to any of us. My buddy just hit me up. I was just with him a couple of days ago. He's like, dude, I hope you're feeling well. I got COVID. Like, stuff happens. It happens. So visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It'll then get reviewed by a board-certified physician, and then your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. So you save money, you get the stuff you need. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. So go to jasemedical.com, use the offer code LOCKEDON, and get $20 off your order. That's jasemedical.com, Jase medical.com. Offer code is locked on to get $20 off your order. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, which are covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. So the final prospect on John Denton's list, again, linked in the description and in the show notes, MLB.com. You can go to the Cardinals website as well to see his write-ups that he does throughout the year. Double-A MVP, Thomas Saggese. Yeah, buddy. This guy, what a season he had, right? All Saggese did, this is Denton's write-up right now, did after coming over to the Cardinals following the Montgomery trade was win the Texas League's MVP award. No big deal. And nearly capture its triple crown. The Carlsbad, California native led the Texas League in OPS with 936, batting average of 318, hits 158, and RBIs with 107, while finishing second in slugging, second in home runs, and second in runs scored. Saggese, who plays to honor the memory of his late mother, just might hit his way onto the big league roster. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Thomas Saggese's background, lost his mother to breast cancer back in 2020. And it's just, he talks about her glowingly about how she was like his best friend. So, he dedicates his entire career to his mother, his late mother. And he's doing a heck of a job of it right now. He became the first Springfield player ever to win a batting crown, and he joined the late Oscar Taveras, 321 hitter in 2012, and Luke Voigt, 297 in 2016, as the only Cardinals prospects to win a Texas League batting title. So I saw Saggese at the winter warm-up, and he seems like a good dude. I'm not saying I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I saw him do a number of different interviews. But what you notice about him is, like, boy, is he having a good time with this right now. A lot of smiling, a lot of laughing, and why shouldn't he? His future with the Cardinals major league roster, it could come sooner rather than later. I don't know if you know this, but who's like another shortstop on the roster? If Tommy Edman, who seemingly is destined to be your center fielder, you're going to keep him out there as much as you can, right? Mason Wynn is then the only shortstop on the roster. So if anything, fingers crossed that it doesn't happen, but if anything were to happen, it might be Saggese who gets the call up if he continues to scorch the ball at Memphis this year like he did last season at Springfield. Now, he did get called up, ended up playing a few games at Memphis, but, spent the majority of the season at Double-A. So Memphis is likely where he's going to start this year, but those are some sick numbers. And I know Luken Baker had some sick numbers at Triple-A, but Saggese is a guy who can play multiple positions, and he's just a different type of athlete than Luken Baker is. Now, again, if everything goes right, none of the names that Denton listed here would need to make a major impact on the 2024 Major League roster. But let's be honest. We just saw in 2023, injuries, slumps, stuff happens. So maybe we do see them this year, but these are definitely names that you should keep an eye on when spring training begins, which is going to be happening in less than a month. So they're going to be heading down to Jupiter here in just a few weeks. Now, another name that I personally would add to the list of guys that I'm just keeping an eye on in the spring training, I'm excited to see what he can do, is Cesar Prieto, who they got in the Jack Flaherty deal with Baltimore. Hit 270 after coming over in that deal, but on the year at Double-A and Triple-A, hit a combined 323 at 10 home runs, 60 RBIs, and something that I am very much a fan of because I was this kind of player when I was balling. I didn't strike out a whole lot at all. And neither does Cesar Prieto. Struck out 52 times in 498 at-bats. Almost half of them, 25, was after the trade, after he was trying to, figure out what he was doing with the Cardinals and whatnot. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. But to put it into perspective, so Luis Ariz, right? The best contact hitter in baseball last year, struck out 34 times in 574 at-bats. Like, that's mind-blowing at the major league level. The next best was Nationals catcher Keibert Ruiz, who whiffed 58 times in 523 at-bats. Very comparable to what Cesar Prieto did last season. Again, AA and AAA type of stuff, but still, that's his game. He's a contact hitter, doesn't strike out a ton. So Prieto's contact ability, it's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. All right, finally, the Cardinals made an international signing earlier in the week. They inked hard-throwing right-handed pitching prospect Branneli Franco is his name. Branneli Franco. Let me get a photo of him up there. There he is, doing his thing. 16 years old. MLB.com's number 25 international prospect. According to industry sources, the deal is worth $800,000. Described on MLB.com as built like a shooting guard, Franco is 6'3" and has been heralded for his poise on the mound. He sits at 91-93 with his heater. Again, he's 16. Don't get picky about how hard he throws yet. How hard did you throw at 16? Anyway, it says that he's got solid tailing action and a propensity for inducing ground balls. There is potential for it to become a plus-plus offering as he matures and gains strength, since he already sports impressive arm speed. His changeup is a straight offering that parks at 85-87, but benefits from having an arm slot identical to his heater. A slurvy high 70s breaking pitch is his go-to off-speed weapon, as it moves planes early out of his hand. Peppering the strike zone at a young age bodes well for Franco's projection as a starter moving forward. Praise for his ability to mix up his offerings. Franco will next be tasked with creating significant velo separation to keep hitters off balance. He'll need to further engage his lower half as he enters pro ball, armed with an effortless release from an upright delivery. Now, in addition to Franco, the Cardinals signed 10 additional players at the start of the international signing period. I don't have all the names and stuff now that you would know who they are, even if I had them in front of me. But according to the write-up, 5 pitchers, 3 outfielders, 2 shortstops, and 1 first baseman were among the signees, who will all be assigned to the Dominican Summer League. So there you go. That's a little catch-up on what's going on prospect-wise with the St. Louis Cardinals. Pitchers and catchers report to spring training on Valentine's Day. That's February 14th. Gentlemen, don't forget that, because of wife, girlfriend, mom, grandma, whoever you got to get Valentine's Day stuff for. Remember, Valentine's Day, pitchers and catchers report. Put them together. Keep it in your memories, okay? And then the first full workout scheduled for February the 19th in Jupiter. I, for one, cannot wait to just actually watch baseball again. I am excited about what's going to happen with the Cardinals, because we don't really know what direction it's going to go. This is kind of an experiment. We've got Sonny Gray coming over. We think we know exactly what he's going to be. But are Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn going to be who we think they should be in a Cardinals uniform? Is the bullpen, with all these different arms that we haven't heard so much about, to go with some of the guys we had from last year, is that going to be good enough? We don't know. We won't know until they get on the field. So I'm sick of talking about it all, and I want to just watch it. I want to see what happens, whether it's a train wreck and it crashes and burns, or if it's glorious and it works the way we all hope it does and leads the Cardinals back to a prominent first place Central Division title, and hopefully moving on to the playoffs, where they actually won a game in the playoffs. It's been quite a bit. So anyway, it's going to be a pivotal season for the Cardinals and this front office, and for our fans. We're just as skeptical as anybody right now, because we saw how bad things got last year. We don't want to go through it again. And there's still a lot of people who don't believe that the Cardinals have done enough to make themselves all that much better than they were last year. So we won't know. We won't know until they get on the field, but they'll try to exercise the demons of 2023, and we will be there for the entire ride. All right, thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube, help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.